Well, I want to apologize to the lighting because it's not a great look. I also want to apologize. Let's just start with this. New York fans, I am so sorry. The PWHL, they had to pick a team to screw over, and they just decided it was your time. I mean, them and Toronto, but I mean, I think it just is more heartbreaking for New York because it's like New York has gotten absolutely gutted because of this free agency class, and it's just kind of like, wow, thanks for giving us some assistance. I think Vegas is the only team that I could, like, that I know we didn't pick anybody from New York, but man, everyone else did, and it felt like San Jose did a lot. I felt like every time I saw a picture, I'm like, oh my god, the colors look the same. Man, I just can't believe it. So we all knew who the first pick was going to be. That's basically the only information. We had an idea that, okay, well, there's no way Montreal picks, like, high, right? Like, they just won. But we didn't know how it was going to be because all these original teams got players stolen from them. Like, look at Seattle's blue line, for Christ's sake. There were so many teams that were really, really affected by this year's expansion. And that's what happens when you have 4 teams coming in. Every team was going to have to suffer. And I think that's why a lot of people projected them to be drafting late. I don't know why people thought that. Now, to be honest, this is how I thought this was going to go. It was going to be Vancouver. Then they were going to do Seattle. Then, based off of what team took the biggest beating, then they were going to probably flip, who was going to be in 3 and 4. And then expansion teams, then playoff teams. That didn't happen at all. Both Toronto and New York get screwed. Mainly the Siren, and I think that just is so... I feel so bad. But it's crazy that that's not even just the biggest part about this news. Because the thing that everybody's been looking at is the favoritism, I feel like. Everyone thinks that there is already early favoritism towards Detroit. Where it just feels like Detroit's getting lucky. Detroit is like, oh, how convenient Detroit is hosting. But they had the 3rd overall pick. It's like, golly, if they could have had the 1st, they probably would have. And then they allow the Hilary Knight situation to play out, which is still now the biggest what if. I have seen a lot of people on Twitter say Detroit should back out of this deal. If they back out, I think what people don't realize, Detroit is now in a situation where they're in a lose-lose. Vegas, in my opinion, is in a win-win-win scenario. Because when you look at Detroit, let's just go with Vegas first. Vegas, you have 3 options. You get a call, ring, ring, ring. We're not going to go through with the trade. Okay, now you're going to have to ask Hilary Knight what she's going to want to do. Does she just want to play the season out in Vegas? Because I believe it's just a 1-year deal. Or do you want us to try to trade you to a new team? I don't know how that's going to work out because she wanted to go to Detroit. So now she might not want to go to Detroit after that because Detroit basically said, never mind, we don't want you. And that's going to be interesting. And already ruining a relationship with a brand new team is not a great idea. Look at Montreal and the Flames. One bad deal that decided to get waived off ruined those 2 teams for trading at all. And people act like that's not a thing in sports. No. Once you screw over somebody in a trade, like, do you think the Raiders are ever going to do a trade with the Ravens ever again at a high capacity? Absolutely not. You're smoking something. Unless they're giving extra, because you're smoking something if you think that that's the case. But Vegas, they say they keep Hilary Knight, they keep that 5th overall pick, they get a great star in it, and they have a really decent year, and maybe Hilary Knight decides, hey, this is the place I want to end my career. That's like the best scenario. Probably also the most gray scenario. Best scenario for Vegas is that they're going to get the 3rd overall pick, and they get to pick from having, depending on what Seattle does, I think they go defense, but you're either going to get the best winger in the class or one of the best defensive players. That's a pretty good toss-up. And then, obviously, the 3rd one is, if they decide to, is that if they decide to get a defenseman, then they're going to get one of the best defensemen and best wingers, or they're going to end up with two of the best wingers in the class. I have a feeling that San Jose will go center. And, yeah, I think that 2 wingers, a center, and 2 defensive players will go off in the first 5 picks. Detroit has a lose-lose scenario. Here's the first one. You say, ring, ring, ring. Hey, Vegas, we decided we're not going to do that trade. Okay. Not only did you get help on the trade, because I think a lot of people are agreeing that the league kind of helped you get that trade worked out, but not only will you ruin that relationship with Vegas, I think you will obviously irritate Hilary Knight because she thought she was going to go there. And I think you really ruin your relationships with a lot of the people around the league by making that one move. And I get it. Well, you know, David, they didn't know the draft order, and if they knew the draft order, well, that's also on the league's part. I think that the way the league's handled this whole scenario, I don't think they should have started the expansion process without knowing who the hell they were drafting. That's what I think. I think that, because this trade wouldn't have happened if they knew the draft order. I guarantee you that. If they looked at this, especially if they vetoed the trade, then we know they wouldn't have. So it's kind of like, well, you built this team around this specific player, or you really wanted this player. So it's like, you wouldn't have made that move, and you would have made different changes and selected different on the roster if you knew where you were drafting. Right? Now, that's just me. But Detroit could do that, or you're going to have to do what you did. You get Hilary Knight, and you better hope the rest of your moves work. Especially because goaltending-wise, you're probably going to have to spend your first pick on a goalie in the second round. Because you need one. That's the only thing you don't have right now is a goalie. You have everything else. You got defense, forwards. You need a freaking goalie. So, I think this draft, if anybody should be ecstatic, is if this trade goes through, Vegas fans are going to be excited because you're going to get, no matter what, you're getting 2 exciting players. Like I said, I have a feeling Seattle will probably pick Edwards, so probably don't get your hopes up on a defensive player. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, we can get her. But then I was like, oh, Seattle took the biggest beating on their blue line. She's probably the pick, right? But we never know. That's the thing about drafts. We don't know until the pick is in. Right? We do not know until the pick is in. So, we're going to wait and see how that works. And, yeah. Once again, New York fans, I'm so sorry that you guys kind of got hosed in this whole ordeal. But, the draft is Wednesday. I can't wait for it. What are your thoughts and opinions? Do you think that they should have handled this way differently? I think what they should have done was, it was Vancouver, and then out of the 3 remaining teams that didn't make the playoffs, I would have said who lost more and then build it that way. Because then a team that lost little, should not be able to pick crazy high. Then I would have done expansion teams, then playoff teams. That's how I would have done it, personally. And how I would have done the expansion team order is from the best looking roster goes at the bottom. Detroit, the fact that Detroit is picking ahead of San Jose and Vegas anyways is kind of just ridiculous to me in the first place. Because I feel like Hamilton and Detroit did way better than Vegas did and San Jose. Me personally. Now, yes, that's hard to depict on paper, but I mean, you could kind of tell with the star power, right? So it's just that's my opinion. That's how I think it should have worked. But I want your thoughts and opinions as always. Once again, sorry for the setup. I need to really get a better setup at this house so I could make better videos. But let me know your thoughts and opinions, and I will see you all in the next one. Enjoy the draft, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.